My name is Elena. I am 32 years old. I always loved my quiet and simple life. I was a teacher at a small elementary school in a green part of the city. I loved my students very much. I loved the smell of old books and the sound of chalk on the blackboard. Every morning I walked to school with a smile on my face. I lived alone in a small and cozy apartment. It was filled with plants and sunlight. My parents were good and kind people, but they died many years ago in a tragic accident. I had no family left in this world. I only had my students and my favorite books. Sometimes I felt a little lonely in the evenings. I spent my weekends reading romantic novels and drinking tea. Then, one warm spring day, everything changed. I was sitting in a small park near my school. I was reading a beautiful book about a lost princess. Suddenly, a white ball stopped at my feet. A man ran towards me from the grass. He had deep gray eyes and a very warm smile. He looked at me and laughed softly. "I am so sorry," he said. "I guess I am not very good at football." His voice was deep and very gentle. We started talking right there in the park. His name was Mark. He told me he was 35 years old. He said he owned a small and independent software company. He was charming and very smart. He asked me many questions about my books and my school. He seemed to care about every word I said. For the first time in my life, I felt truly special. We talked for 2 hours until the sun went down. We started dating every single day after that. Mark sent me beautiful red roses every morning. He wrote me sweet and poetic messages every night. He made me believe in magic and true love again. He told me he did not have much money. He said his company was very small and new. I did not care about money at all. We ate cheap pizza on the grass in the park. We took very long walks under the bright stars. He told me about his childhood and his dreams. He said he wanted a quiet life just like mine. It all felt like a beautiful dream. After 6 months of dating, Mark took me back to the same park. He got down on one knee on the green grass. He was holding a simple and thin gold ring. "Elena," he said, "I cannot imagine my single day without you. You are the light of my life. Will you marry me and stay with me forever?" My heart was beating like a fast drum. Tears of happiness filled my eyes. I said yes immediately. I was finally going to have the family I dreamed of. I felt like the luckiest woman in the whole world. We had a very small wedding only 1 month later. Only my best friend Sarah and a few teachers came to the ceremony. Mark said he did not have any family left either. He said his parents died when he was a young boy. This made me feel even closer to him. I thought we were two lonely souls who finally found a home. After the wedding, Mark moved into my small apartment. "It is a little smaller than I thought," he said on the first day. His voice sounded different for a second. It was cold and sharp. I thought he was just tired from the wedding. 2 weeks after our wedding day, Mark told me he had to travel. "I have a new client in London," he explained. "It is a very big project for my small company. I need to go there for 1 week to sign the papers." I was sad to see him go so soon, but I wanted him to be successful. "Be safe and call me every day," I told him. He hugged me tightly and left for the airport. He called me every night from a hotel in London. He sounded very busy and tired. I missed him so much every second. The apartment felt very empty and silent without him. One evening, while Mark was still in London, I decided to clean. I wanted everything to be perfect for his return. I went to the closet to organize his clothes. He had very few things. When I moved his heavy suitcase, I saw something. A small silver key was lying on the floor. It looked very old and very important. I had never seen this key in our home before. Mark never mentioned having any locked boxes. I tried the key on every drawer and every cabinet. It did not fit anything in the apartment. Then I saw his heavy leather laptop bag in the corner. Mark always kept it locked. I did not want to open it. It felt like I was doing something wrong. But my heart told me that something was strange. I took a deep breath and tried the key. It fit the lock perfectly. I opened the laptop bag with shaking hands. There was no laptop inside at all. Instead, there was a small metal box. I used the silver key again to open the box. What I saw inside made my blood turn to ice. There were 3 different passports in the box. All of them had Mark's face on the photos, but none of them had the name Mark Vance. One passport said the name was Robert Sinclair. One passport said the name was David Moore. One passport said the name was Simon Reed. I could not believe what I was seeing. Who was this man I married just a month ago? Why did he have so many different identities? I looked deeper into the small metal box. I found a stack of photos of other women. They were all very beautiful, and they were all smiling. They looked happy and in love, just like I was. I turned the photos over to see the back. On the back of one photo, it said target number 4, name Mary, status complete. On another photo, it said target number 5, name Linda, status active. My heart was breaking into 1,000 pieces. Then I found a bank statement from a bank I did not know. The name on the paper was Robert Sinclair. I looked at the total balance and I gasped. It was $5 million. My simple husband was a secret millionaire. And then I found my own photo at the bottom. On the back of my photo, it said target number 6. Name Elena. Status under progress. I dropped the box and the papers flew everywhere. I felt like I was drowning in a dark ocean. Everything was a lie. Our meeting, the roses, the walks, and the marriage. It was all a cruel game for him. I ran to the bathroom and I cried. Until I had no more tears. I felt so stupid and so small. But then I looked at myself in the mirror. I remembered that I was a teacher. I was a woman who worked hard for everything I had. I was not a toy for a rich man. I needed to be strong, and I needed to be smart. I put all the papers back into the box exactly as they were. I locked the bag, and I waited for him to come home. The next day, Mark returned from London. He walked in with a big smile and tried to kiss me. I pulled away from him and stood by the table. I know everything, I said. My voice was very calm and very steady. He looked confused for a second. What are you talking about, Elena? He asked. I pointed to his leather bag on the chair. Or should I call you Robert Sinclair? I asked. His face changed in an instant. All the kindness and the warmth disappeared. His eyes became cold and hard, like gray stones. He did not even try to lie to me. He sat down on the sofa and looked at me with a smirk. "How did you find that box?" he asked. His voice was now the voice of a stranger. "It does not matter how I found it," I said. "Why did you marry me? Why did you do this?" Mark laughed a cold and cruel laugh. "You are not special, Elena," he said. "You are just a simple school teacher. You have a clean history and a perfect credit score. I needed an innocent woman to move some of my money. The government was watching my other accounts. My other wives were too complicated, but you were perfect. You were so easy to trick. I felt like he had slapped me in the face. I wanted to build a real life with you," I whispered. "And I wanted your bank details to open a new account," he said. "I already moved $50,000 from your savings yesterday. You gave me the power to use your name when we got married. It was all legal, and it was all very easy." I felt sick to my stomach. He had stolen my life savings. Everything I had worked for was gone in one day. "I am going to the police right now," I yelled. Mark stood up and walked very close to me. He was much taller than me, and he looked dangerous. "Go ahead and try," he whispered in my ear. "I married you as Mark Vance, but Mark Vance does not exist in any system. The papers from our wedding are real, but the man is not. You will never find me, and the police will think you are crazy." "Get out of my house," I said through my teeth. "With pleasure," he replied. He took his bag and his jacket, and he walked out. He did not look back even once. The next week was the hardest time of my life. I went to the bank, and they told me the money was gone. They said I had signed the papers myself. I went to the police station, and I told them the story. The detectives looked at me with pity in their eyes. "Without a real name or an address, we cannot do much," they said. I felt like my life was over. I wanted to hide under my blankets and never come out. Then my best friend Sarah came to my apartment. She saw the mess and the tears. I told her every single detail about the box and the names. Sarah was not a teacher like me. She was a computer programmer, and she was very brave. "We are not giving up, Elena," she said firmly. "You told me the bank statement said Sinclair Financial." Yes, I remembered. Sarah opened her laptop and started working. She did not sleep for 2 days. "I found it," she finally shouted in the middle of the night. "Sinclair Financial is not a real bank. It is a fake company used to hide stolen money." And I just found the digital trail. Sarah found a connection to a small bank in Switzerland. She also found an email address that the man used. "We have to find the other women," I said. We sent messages to every person we could find in his files. 1 day later, we got a reply from Mary in Canada. She was a librarian, and she was also broken-hearted. Then we heard from Linda in Australia. She was a nurse, and she had lost $40,000. "He does this to women like us," I told them. "He looks for women who are professional and lonely. He thinks we are weak, but he is wrong. We all worked together to collect our evidence. We sent our marriage papers and the photos to the Swiss bank. We told them that Robert Sinclair was a criminal. We waited for many long and anxious days. I could not eat, and I could not sleep at all. I was so afraid that the bank would ignore us. Then a miracle happened. The Swiss bank took our case very seriously. They found that the money in the account was indeed illegal. They froze all of his millions of dollars. They contacted the international police immediately. The man who called himself Mark was finally caught in London. He was trying to marry a seventh woman. She was an elderly woman with a very large pension. The news of his arrest was in all the international papers. The headline said, "The Shadow Husband Finally Caught." I cried when I saw his face in handcuffs on the screen. We had a very long and difficult court case. I had to stand in front of many people and talk about my pain. But I was not alone this time. Mary and Linda were there standing with me. We were not victims anymore. We were strong witnesses of the truth. The court decided that the man had to pay back every cent. He was sent to prison for 10 years. I used the money I got back to buy a new and better apartment. I went back to my school and my students, but I was not the same woman anymore. My students noticed that I was more confident and strong. I was no longer the shy teacher who lived in books. I was a woman who had fought for justice and won. I still have the simple gold ring in a small box. I do not hate the man who lied to me anymore. Because of him, I discovered my own strength. I learned that true love must always start with respect. My heart is still pure and my spirit is free. I am happy and I am finally independent. If you liked this story, please like and subscribe for more English stories.